I haven't done one of these in a very long time, so please give me a little bit of grace if I miss anything. But do want to make this extremely conversational for everyone. So if anybody has any questions, just feel free to put them in the chat or stop me. And then if we miss anything, we can jump in and we'll answer it at the end. But just a little bit of background on myself. I work for a company called Salute Safety. We're an environmental health and safety platform. We help EHS departments. We're an all-in-one solution. So what we do is we take everything that runs under the realm of environmental health and safety. We have a single source of truth for it on our platform. And then EHS departments can use it to just operate a little bit smoother. And then we also help the consultants side of things where we can upload their workflows, so on and so forth. But main cause of today is just to give you guys a little bit of background on the changes that we've kind of seen in EHS from pretty much the start of time up until what we're currently dealing with now. So just a little bit of background on what we're going to go over today. We'll just go over the evolution of EHS, the traditional versus modern EHS management options, leveraging the current technology that we have, and then having a little bit of synergies with consultants and using a tech. I know sometimes it's a little bit hesitant, but I'm going to assure you that it would help you operate a little bit smoother than what you might be currently doing, or just, maybe some minor tweaks that can help out with that stuff. But yeah, I'm here for you guys. If anybody has any questions, we'll go ahead and ask away. But if not, we will go ahead and get started. A little definition that I found for an EHS professional is defined as a guardian of a workplace safety, environmental stewardship, and health, ensuring that operations harmonize with legal and ethical standards to protect both people and the planet. As we both know, or everyone knows, EHS is kind of, I think, an overseen department at some places, and some people don't think it's the safest. And, sometimes when people come around with their clipboards or, doing inspections and stuff like that, everyone kind of, looks the other way or hopes that they're not coming after them. But how we view it is they're the unsung heroes of a lot of the customers and companies that we deal with, simply making sure that the workers are safe, the environment that they're working in is safe, and everything is running adequately in the way it should be. So, nod to the EHS professionals and everyone doing what they need to do to help us stay exactly how we need to be staying. Cool. So this was a pretty interesting slide for me. I did a little bit of research on this, and I thought it was definitely interesting to learn about how kind of the environmental health and safety department and world kind of came to be. So it dates back to the Industrial Revolution. So it wasn't always a comprehensive discipline as it is today. In the early days, there was a lot of stuff going on in the Industrial Revolution. People didn't know what was safe, what wasn't safe. Everyone was just banging together steel and kind of getting the world as we know it running. So with this, we had the rapid industrialization and the start of environmental work safety implications. I work in New York City, so I know a lot of these buildings that got built, there's a lot of stories of, people weren't being the safest and fell from some heights that we wouldn't want to talk about, but, there was a lot of things that were overlooked. So then we move a little bit further down the line to the early 20th century, where we had a rise in workers' rights advocacy and an introduction into initial workplace safety. So this is when people were starting to realize, hey, this warehouse might not be the safest of conditions. So we probably need to do something about this. People were starting to get sick. People were, weren't doing things correctly, and a lot of stuff was going unseen, and people were getting hurt for the most part. So then we move a little bit further down the line to the mid 20th century. So where we have the advancement in regulations, kind of growing awareness of industrial health and the environmental impacts that, some of these companies and businesses and warehouses were having on the actual environment, such as the pollution that they were putting into the air, the conditions that the workers were working in obviously weren't the safest. I think, if you look back at pictures to, the 1920s to the 1950s, guys are coming out of places, no masks on, it's an EHS, it's a nightmare for an EHS professional to probably be walking around one of those warehouses back in the day, just knowing what we know now back then. So kind of that's when we started to see a little bit more of a people weren't turning their head to safety as much. They were like, oh, this is something we need to look into and get a little bit more assertive with, which it's been pretty good. And then in 1970, which is a pretty big year, for environmental health and safety. The OSHA Act was signed by Richard Nixon, prioritizing work safety and environmental impact. So what this meant, as you guys know, OSHA, it's in the EHS world, is the bearer of our existence. I think the deadline, if I'm not mistaken, is Friday to submit all of the paperwork, which this time of year, everyone just wants to make sure that all their ducks in a row. But having OSHA regulations put into place has really inclined the industry and such so that people aren't getting hurt as much, or if someone does get hurt, we can look at why they got hurt, so on and so forth. And then we have the post-OSHA evolution. So we have enhanced regulations, broader environmental focus, and increased corporate commitment to sustainability. This is kind of, you know, from the 1970s on, it's just continually increased on what's going on in EHS, right? Every day there's new things being found, whether that's the way you manage chemical inventory, the way that, you know, you conduct inspections, the way that the OSHA reporting is done, if there's findings, how those corrective actions are taking. It's kind of, this is the timeline that kind of alludes to everything that's going on. And it's nice because everyone, you know, wants to have the safest work environment. Everyone wants to make sure their workers are safe. Everyone wants to make sure that they're making their environmental impact is low and they're not harming the environment that we're living in. So, you know, all these changes that have gone and pushed us forward to get where we're at today. And as most of you know, we probably see a lot of those changes continually going forward as well. Cool. So we'll kind of go on to a little bit further down the line. So this slide kind of outlines what we see as traditional EHS practices versus kind of what modern is. And I'm not saying that, you know, we're like what everyone's doing right now is the most modern, but traditional EHS practices is very compliance focused. We have very manual processes. So a lot of the people that we work with or talk to are, you know, when we talk to them, we say, hey, how are your workflows going? What are you guys currently doing to manage your safety at your facility or your warehouse or your lab? And most of them have, you know, either 1, 2, 3, 4, upwards of 5 different programs that they're using to run their safety program. And when you do this, like you guys probably know, it gets you, sometimes it backs you a little bit into a corner, just simply because if someone has a login and you don't have that login, it creates a pain point for that person. They got to, you know, go contact whoever your counterpart is to get the login to the chemical inventory, or vice versa if it has to do with accident or incident reporting, so on and so forth. So it's kind of a manual process. A lot of the people also we deal with when they do chemical inventory or something like that, we'll talk to them. They'll have and I'm sure everyone's familiar with this, they'll have a shelf with a ton of binders up top, and that's their chemical inventory. And, you know, sometimes they get a little lackadaisical or have a hard time keeping up with the SDSs and stuff that goes along with the chemical inventory and as such. And then we have the reactive strategies. So this would be when someone in the EHS department is called upon to, you know, somebody fell off the ladder. Okay, now we have to start the whole we have to start the whole process of doing the reporting and everything like that. Versus where, if you know, some people that we work with, they currently have workflows to make sure that, you know, this person got on the ladder, they put the correct harness on, they locked in correctly, and they have a checklist that can go after to do that. So they can be proactive in the approach versus reactive. So then we go down to the introduction of technology. And this is kind of where my bread and butter is. So the EHS software and the IoT integration has been, I think, tremendous in the world of EHS simply because it's streamlined everything. So whether you're a consultant using a platform, if you're a company that's using an EHS software, it has automated that compliance and reporting to the fact of, you know, we don't have to worry about logging into Microsoft Excel. We don't have to worry if Mike is in the building today, so we can make sure that we have access to the chemical inventory. They've automated the workflows and gave us kind of that real-time monitoring to see what's going on with the company, what's going on. That falls under obviously the umbrella of safety, but they want to ensure that they have a look at the whole picture versus having to log into multiple different programs or systems to see what's going on in the workplace today, or how many accidents have happened. With the real-time monitoring, you can see everything that consistently goes on, whether that use a company like Salute or some of the other companies out there that help manage EHS on a software basis. And then you go into the integrated EHS management shift. So kind of alluding to the introduction of tech, but what companies do now is when they have an integrated EHS management system, they're able to have a broad overview of everything that's going on within their company. Now, I know some people, they come over to an EHS software and they use, they just want to use it for chemical inventory and accident incident reporting. And then from there, they have to log into a couple of other systems to get additional information. When you use an EHS software system that's an enterprise system or an all-encompassing system, you're able to have all of your EHS programs under one roof, so that if somebody has an accident with a chemical, all that information is housed in one spot. So when you're filling out those forms or you're filling out the accident incident reports, if you need to pull that chemical inventory, if you need to pull that SDS, it's just a few clicks away for you to fill out these forms. So you're not having to go to all these different programs or systems to get the information that's needed for the reporting. And then it just gives a proactive approach. I think the way that everyone's viewing things is technology is kind of, as we've known since the early 2000s, kind of been extremely prominent in every type of workforce. And I think it slowly has dripped into the environmental health and safety world, because things were run on Excel, Microsoft Suite, so on and so forth, which they aren't bad systems to run on, but as we like to know, and as people who run consultancies or EHS departments, efficiency is key. So if they can have a system or a technology that can house all of that information under one roof, it would make their jobs extremely easier. And that's essentially what us at Salute are here to do. Cool. So we'll go to our next slide. So I just give a little bit of a brief overview of kind of the EHS management options that we have. So there's kind of two, broke it down. There's probably a bunch of other ones, but these are the main two that when we talk to customers, this is kind of what we see. So we have your in-house EHS professional. So this is company that has an EHS department. They have a safety manager or a lab director, or it's a big university or a research facility, and they have a dedicated team that runs safety. So the nice part about this is, for the pros, is they know exactly what's going on within the company. They don't have to worry about anything else. They know the people that they're working with. So they know people in other departments. They can easily, get a hold of them, access the people if they need to, do the questioning. If someone missed a report or they need to send an email notification, it's very simple for them to get a hold of those people. And then I feel like when you work for a company, if you know the safety person that comes around, and they're not just coming around once every few months or once a month, you develop a little bit better of a relationship with them and might be not as hesitant to talk to that person. And then you have direct control, because you're only overseeing safety for the company that you're currently working for. So you don't really have to worry about anything from the outside coming in. The cons of this is sometimes it's a little bit of a higher cost, just simply because you're hiring a full-time employee. And then the other cons is limited expertise. I kind of went over this with my team, and the reason I put limited expertise is sometimes people in the environmental health and safety world, and we have a couple of people who have worked in it as well, they stay with what they know. So if they work for a biotech company, they're going to know all the biotech safety and just have expertise in that one. So if they needed to have any information on how to do manufacturing or food safety, the guidelines might be a little bit different. So they have a limited expertise in only knowing kind of what industry that they're currently working in. And this can range. Sometimes, you have people that go from industry to industry, which is really good, and they make themselves a much more valuable player with the team. But I'm just talking about kind of the employees who stick with the companies and kind of just run your safety program for the individual industry that you're in. So there's some of the pros and cons in-house for the in-house professionals. And then outsourced, you have the pros, you would be specialized expertise. So when looking for a safety consultant, if you run a biotech lab, you can research somebody who specifies in biotech, and that's all you need. You don't need to worry if they know anything about food safety, if they need to know anything about manufacturing. They know exactly what you are looking for, and it makes them extremely valuable to you and your company. The next is scalability. So you can, bring on one EHS person and then, say we need a couple more people this month because we need to submit our OSHA logs, or we're trying to redo our whole chemical inventory. You can scale up or scale down by hiring more or less employees, and they're not full-time. So that's gives you a little bit of flexibility in there. And then cost efficiency. So I know sometimes on the front end to get a consultant started, it might cost a little bit more money. But you can then set, agreements with the company to say, hey, I only need you for, 3 hours this month, or hey, I need you for 15 hours this month. So you can kind of fluctuate the cost on that perspective, knowing how many hours you're going to be paying this person. And if you do need to add additional hours, usually that's set in stone with the consultant and the company about how much that's going to cost you. The cons of this is it's a less company specific knowledge. And the reason I put this is you're not having that person like we have in the pros for in-house EHS professionals. You're not having the culture integration. So the person coming in as a consultant might know one or two people at the company, and those might be the person that hired them and the person that's giving them the information that they need. So they have less, specific company knowledge. They don't know exactly what's going on. They don't know, who works in what department. So they're going to be asking a lot more questions. And then service continuity concerns, which I think we all can attest to in this. So key considerations when considering either of these is going to be your company size, complexity, on-site EHS necessities, whether you need somebody on-site consistently, or if you just need, hey, I need, this person to come on and do 5 inspections a month for me and just manage my chemical inventory, your budget, and then what your strategic goals are going forward. So just a little bit of very basic and broad knowledge on, whether when deciding if you're going to go with an in-house EHS professional or an outsourced EHS consultant. All right. So synergy with consultants in tech. So first bullet we have here is software utilization. And I know sometimes when we talk to these consultants, they get a little hesitant about working with environmental health and safety softwares. What we like to do is enable the consultant to let them know that we are here to help them run their business more efficiently. So for the software utilization, we encourage consultants to use software platforms. I'm just going to use Salute as an example, just because I do work for them. But to use softwares to enable their consultancy. So if you're an individual consultant that has 3 customers, or you're a consultancy that has 15 consultants, and then you have a numerous amount of customers, we want to ensure that you as the consultant has the understanding that you can use software such as Salute to streamline those services. So if you have your workflows, and I only say you only deal with let's say biotech clients, and that every biotech client, you run their safety program exactly the same. What we do as a software company is we would take your workflows, upload them into our program, so it would be completely customizable, as do most softwares. And we would take those workflows, and they would be specific to your client and you, so that if I'm logging in, I'm going to run the chemical inventory this way, I'm going to run the audits and inspections this way, I'm going to run their accident incident reporting this way, their waste requests this way. It's your workflows, so you know how to run it. We just give you the software to run it on. So I know there's a lot of well, I wouldn't say a lot of hesitation, but there's some hesitation sometimes thinking that the softwares are coming and trying to take away from the consultants, but we're there to enable them, to tech enable them is kind of the way I like to put it. And when that comes, your enhanced workflows, right? So how we look at it is, if you are in a EHS consultancy and you are currently running everything on, let's just say, a Microsoft Suite or an Excel, and you are looking to bring on more clientele, but you're it's taking a lot of time to document everything in Excel or whatever other system that you're using. When you come on and you integrate with a software system, you can have all those workflows in there to streamline the process. And I know a lot of our customers when they use us, instead of bringing a laptop in, they bring in their iPad because it's easier to sanitize for them, to go, and they can run all their assessments and inspections on there, click a couple buttons, go to a metrics reporting dashboard, and print out the information that's needed for the company right there and then. And then the nice part about this, as I just mentioned with the metrics reporting, it simplifies the management for you, right? So when you run all your workflows on a single system, and this goes kind of back to what I talked about earlier with how tech is coming into play, is everything that's done on these platforms usually has some form of reporting tool. And it gives you, as you can see on the left here, our dashboards. And this, you can get as vast or as granular with it. Most softwares run exactly the same. It's just kind of whatever, your needs are for. But the nice part of this is, instead of having to go back and run everything through your systems and Excel and stuff like that, you can hit 3 simple clicks, print out all the information, or send the information directly to the company just as needed. So the kind of what I want to get out of this slide is that the software isn't, I don't want consultants or anybody in EHS professionals looking that softwares are looking to take over. I want the EHS professionals to understand that we're here to help run more efficiently and run smoother. And when I think stuff like that happens, where you're streamlining your workflows and it's just running a lot smoother, you have the capability to bring on more clientele and get more done, and grow your business in that way. So I think the synergy going on with the consultants and the tech is something that's it's becoming more prevalent, and we're obviously excited about it because we work with a pretty decent amount of them. And then just kind of a future of the EHS, kind of the tech landscape. So like I said earlier, some of the key points I want to make is the user friendliness. Most of the software, such as ours, are mobile friendly. So you can either walk into the facility, you can walk into the lab, you can walk into the warehouse or solar farm, or wherever it may be. You can easily access a lot of these programs through your mobile device, whether that be an iPhone, an Android, some form of tablet. You're able to pretty much run 100% of the operation on one of those, and get what's needed to be done. The mobile friendly feature, we have a native app, most softwares do as well, but just having that and not having to lug the computer around is a beauty in its own self. Quick alerts. So most of the softwares, they have a notification feature, whether that be they get a notification to their email, whether they get a notification that pops up on the software itself. What's nice about this is, if someone goes and they do an audit or inspection, they'll fill out their correct assessment, say, hey, the window is cracked on floor 2 or room B. That immediately, you guys set these workflows, gets routed to the facilities management team. Facility management will get a notification to their inbox saying, hey, this is broken, can you please fix it? Facilities management can log onto the same system, because usually everyone at the company is using the same system. Excuse me. And I'm sorry. Usually everybody's using the same system and able to report it. The facilities manager will say, hey, we fixed that problem, take a picture of it, window's good to go, gets sent back to the original inspector. That person can then close out the inspection, knowing that everything's good to go. Reporting, report incidents with just a few taps. You can report, incident reporting is very simple. We automatically fill out the OSHA logs for you, which is very, very, very nice. But I think the ease of reporting too is when your customer asks you for a specific need or a specific, hey, I want to look at how many fire extinguisher inspections were done on this building in the month of May. You can click 3 buttons, and you don't have to be like, oh, this is such a daunting task. You can click 3 things and get exactly what you need to that customer or your direct superior as quick as possible. And then just staying compliant, which, with a lot of these systems, you can set notifications, you can set so that, people are compliant on training. You're automatically updated with, what the latest regulations are. So you're making sure that you don't miss anything, as well as the compliance factor of all this is like the biggest thing. And when you have a software where you can, it'll notify you if you're not compliant or not allowed to step foot in a room or not allowed to, conduct this inspection. It makes it that much easier for you as the consultant or you as the, EHS professional working for a company, because you don't have to worry about the wrong people accessing the room. And if you do, or if they need to, you can get them to fill out the correct documentation that's needed. So yeah, so I mean, tech-enabled landscape is I think it's the way the world's going, but like I said, I want to make sure that we are here to enable the EHS professionals and make their jobs a lot easier than what they currently are, and just enhancing what they currently can do. Perfect. Awesome. And I think that's it. I don't know if anybody has any questions. If you do, you can put them in the chat, or you can just reach out right now. I know this is being recorded, so there might be some things that pop up. Yeah, perfect, cool. And if anybody has any questions or would love to chat more, we'd love to show you what we have to do. My name is Matt. I'm the Vice President, Head of Growth here at Salute Safety. We are a EHS software, safety management software that helps consultants or companies run their EHS a little bit smoother. And yeah, I thank you guys for having me, and hope to hear from some of you guys soon.
Thanks, Matt.
Of course.
Thank you for your time, Matt. And thank you everybody for joining today. If you have any questions or you want to connect with Matt, please feel free to reach out to his contact information or reach out to us at Yellowbird and we can connect the two of you. Thank you all so much.